Can somebody hold it a moment? It doesn't want me to rotate my phone while it's recording. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're good. And then you can see, like it wants it like this. And then I guess you can see questions come in. Okay. Thanks, Cal. All right, so we're just gonna wait a minute until more people hop on. And then I'm gonna pull up the live on here too so I can see your questions. Does it look like people are coming in? 3. Okay. All right, perfect. All right. Hi guys, I'm Brooke. I'm a care coordinator here at the Glen Mills location for Heart and Paw. I just wanted to hop on here and kind of talk about our COVID-19 policy, any questions you might have. So you can just put them in the feed and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And then I know a lot of people are bringing home new puppies, new rescue dogs during this time since we all have more time to spend at home, which is awesome. So I'm just going to answer any questions you have about chewing. Puppies and dogs like to get into things they're not supposed to. Puppy socialization during these crazy and unprecedented times, along with some other things. If you have any other questions, I know we're going to try to do some videos in the future about training and things like that. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes, let people get on here. If you're new to Heart and Paw and you haven't had an appointment or anything during COVID-19, our policy right now is we're not allowing clients, unfortunately, into the building. However, we are still seeing, vet patients. If your animal is sick, injured, puppy vaccines are definitely necessary. We want to make sure they're protected. If you have any questions about what we are seeing right now, just give us a call to your center. You can go to our website, find your center specifically, and they'll be able to answer that for you. But because we're not allowing clients in the center, we're doing curbside drop-off and pickup only. So when you arrive for your appointment or your visit, you can give us a call, and we're going to be able to answer any questions you have on the phone, go over a brief history for you, what's going on with your pet. We'll come out in full PPE and then we'll grab them, bring them in for the appointment, and we'll have the doctor give you a call about what's going on. So we definitely want you to stay in the loop during their visit. So yes, since people are now bringing home puppies, which is awesome, we have so much more time to spend with them. We want to make sure we're doing proper training, things like that. What I'm going to be talking about today focuses primarily on positive reinforcement training. It allows for a better communication, basically, between you and your pet, which is huge as they get older. If they are already older, if they're a rescue, you don't know their history, you definitely want to be careful in the training methods that you're using. And I know as a pet owner that can be very hard and difficult to do when they're chewing on your bed or your chairs, things like that. So with chewing, you want to first start out by getting to the root of the reason that they are doing so. There are many reasons older dogs, puppies do chew. It could be lack of mental stimulation. It could be lack of physical activity. So boredom is definitely huge. Are they stressed? Do they have separation anxiety? And also, are you feeding them an adequate meal every day? So that's always something you can talk to your veterinarian about. You want to make sure they're getting the right nutrition in their diet. If it is boredom, you can definitely do things such as play fetch, take them for walks. You can also get puzzle toys that are obviously pet safe, and that can help with mental stimulation as well as physical stimulation for your pet. And exercise is huge. I like to say sometimes a tired dog is a good dog, so making sure that you've exercised them both physically and mentally will help with any chewing in your house. I did bring some examples of safe toys that you can give your pet. So also with chewing, you want to be sure that your pet is getting the proper toys. A lot of chewing can come from confusion, so things such as plush toys, rope toys are very common. While yes, they are fun, they're cute, and you give them to your dog, the dog can easily mistake them for common household items. So for example, a rope toy usually will have tassels at the end of it. So do our rugs, sometimes our blankets, pillows, drapery, things like that. So that can also easily get mistaken as a toy in the house, and that's where sometimes chewing comes into play for things that are inappropriate. Same with plush toys, blankets, upholstery, all look like those plush toys that are really cute that we do love to give our dogs, but if they are a dog that tends to chew on inappropriate items, we want to be cautious of that. So I did bring some pet safe options. This is a Kong. Kongs are awesome for our durable chewers. You can put pet safe cheese in there. I actually have that here. This is Kong cheese. If you want it to last longer, you can put it in there, freeze it, and it's a nice activity to give to your pet, you know, if you're trying to get things done. It lasts definitely longer. Peanut butter you can put in there. Those things. We also, once this is all over and people can start coming back into our place again, our centers, we sell Kongs here of all different sizes. So that's definitely something you can find here. We also have Nylabones. Nylabones are, well, we don't have them here at Heart and Paw, but they're a safe option for your pet to chew on. There's no chance of them splintering. They have good scents and smells on them. Nylabone makes a bunch of different options. This specifically is the antler option. My dog loves that, so this is his. They're long lasting, and like I said, there's no chance of them splintering. They do, however, wear down after a while. So once they get to a certain size, that could be a choking hazard. You want to make sure you replenish the toys and get them a new one. So those are just two great options. Again, we want to refrain from giving them toys that could be easily mistaken for household objects if they are chewers. So what do you do if your pet is actively chewing on something that they shouldn't? Again, we want to be positive. We want to do positive reinforcement training. With that, positive reinforcement training isn't always sunshines and rainbows. You can definitely tell them no. No, they need to learn. So one thing I like to do is use what's called a no reward marker. So that's making a noise such as uh-oh, things like that, that they'll start to attribute to things they shouldn't be doing. So you walk into your room, your puppy's chewing on a chair. What we want to do is redirect their behavior. So give them the no reward marker, no, you're not supposed to be doing that. And then you want to redirect their attention once they let go of that object. Give them what they should be chewing on. Once they immediately start chewing on the toy that they're supposed to, you really want to reinforce and reward that behavior. Lots of pets, kisses if they like getting kisses and pets, treats if you have treats on hand, things like that to let them know, okay, you know, this is what I'm supposed to be chewing on. Another thing is to really make sure you're not giving your pet the freedom to do the chewing behavior. If they're not trustworthy alone, where they could get into something, we want to make sure that when they are out and they do have house time around the house, that we're watching them. Again, this isn't forever. This is just until we can be sure as pet parents that our dog isn't going to be chewing inappropriate items. So really making sure you're watching them and not giving them the opportunity to make those incorrect decisions. And catching it in the instant they start doing it is key to, you know, reshaping that chewing behavior. So any questions you guys might have about chewing, feel free to just pop that in the chat. Another thing I know we wanted to talk about is touching your dog's paws and feet. This is a huge thing, especially if you do have a younger dog, starting them young, getting them used to kind of messing with their paws, touching their paws, things like that. Why that's so important is, especially if you have little kids, you have family members that might be bringing little kids over in the future. They don't really know the boundaries of pets. We wish they did, but not always. So I know kids like to pull on sometimes the ears, the tail, the paws, things like that. And dogs sometimes can react negatively. So getting them trained to be desensitized to being touched in certain places that dogs are especially sensitive to can be definitely important when, in the future, if you do have little kids over or that person that doesn't know the dog's boundaries, things like that. It's also great to have them used to getting their ears, tails, and paws touched when they come in for veterinary appointments. A basic exam will include the doctor looking in the pet's ears, under the tail, maybe we're doing a nail trimming. If they're used to having their paws touched, their experience here at the vet is going to be a lot less stressful and definitely more positive. So we are going to have one of our daycare dogs come in, and I can show you how to do that. So I'm just going to tell them that we can grab Bentley. Thank you, grab Bentley. Thank you. So while she's grabbing Bentley for me, I am going to kind of get all set up. If your dog is especially sensitive to their feet being touched, we want to make, or if you're unaware how they're going to react, you can do it in levels to desensitize them. And I'll show you how to do that when he gets in. If you're unsure, better safe than sorry. At the end of the day, we don't know how they're going to react if they're a new pet to you. One thing we use here at our center are licky mats. Especially when we're doing nail trims or exams, things like that. They're awesome because they distract the pet, especially if they're food motivated. And I will use this with Bentley, so I'm just going to put some pet safe cheese. Okay, Bentley is drenched. Okay, Bentley is soaking wet, so we have Nico. Meeks, you ready, big boy? So this is Nico. He's one of our daycare dogs. He is a Great Dane. He's a really good dog. I know, those are my toys, huh? Alright, so obviously Nico's probably won't sit on that mat for me, I'm not really sure. What is that? You want the cheese? So I am just going to put some cheese on the mat for him. Nico is not my pet, so obviously that trust isn't built with me, so I am going to do the different levels of testing, how sensitive he is to his paws being touched. I do know Nico though, he's a daycare regular and he is a really good boy. Okay, niece, ready? Alright, so I'm going to give him his licky mat. What's great about these is that it takes them a while to lick up the cheese. So I'm just going to gently touch his paw. So he's not reacting, which means he's obviously not sensitive to his paws being touched to an extent. That's great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a little bit and I'm going to apply a very light pressure. He's obviously not reacting to that as well. Part of that could be with the cheese, which is great. If you need to get one of these, awesome. And then I'm just going to slightly try to lift it, just like that. And still no reaction. He's not flinching. He's not doing anything. He could care less. But like I said, we do know Nico, and that's kind of just his personality. I am going to slightly lift his paws off. And I'm going to watch his body. He's like, okay, what's going on? He's looking around. Good boy! Yes! Yes! And we're going to give him lots of pets because, yes, although he did look up, he wasn't showing any signs of aggression, stress. Things to look for could be maybe like flinching. He moved his head up very slowly, like kind of like, okay, what's going on? But I'm not, he's obviously not angry or stressed, anything like that. Snapping, growling, like a low mumble, showing teeth. Those are all signs that we want to go slower with that pet. So that means starting lightly, using a cheese mat, making it a positive experience. Maybe a couple times a day, we're just going to pet the paws instead of grabbing them. And then working our way up to really kind of messing with them. And that honestly goes across the board with puppies and older dogs. We want to make sure we're not jumping right into completely handling his paws. So, and that also can go for the tail and the ears. If you want to kind of touch their tail lightly like that, no reaction, he honestly doesn't care. You can touch their ears, no reaction there as well. But the same process, starting slow, maybe a light pet, a light touch, cheese, rewards, figure out what your dog likes. And that's definitely a way to make sure you're slowly desensitizing them to things like that. And that's especially important if you're taking them to the vet, you have little kids around. It's just a good overall rule, and it also builds trust between you and your dog. So if there are no other questions. Oh, I did want to talk about socialization. I know that's been of topic since this whole COVID-19 started, because we're not really allowed to interact with other people, and that can affect our dogs' socialization. Socialization is huge, especially when you have puppies. You want to make sure they're getting out to different places, seeing different people, meeting different dogs, which can be hard right now. But this is also a good time to have your dog focusing on you. So if you're out on a walk and let's say you see another dog, I would personally refrain from going up to the other pet. We do want to make sure we're keeping our 6 feet distance. And while your leash might be 6 feet long and you're just letting your pet go up, God forbid something happened, their leashes get tangled, anything like that, you are going to unfortunately come in close contact with that person. So right now, what you could do for socialization is you could go for walks. If your pet sees another pet, he wants to see them, we can still make it a positive experience for them. Bring treats if you have a fanny pack or a pocket, stick their favorite treats in there. When you see somebody across the way, have your dog sit if they know sit. And focus on you. Give them those rewards. What this is doing is they're excited to see the other animal, yes, or maybe they're not always dog friendly. What they're doing is you're gonna get them to focus on you, and that'll actually help you in the long run. When you are able to see the other people, dogs, they're able to greet. What you're doing is you're getting them to focus on you, and then eventually the reward, when this is all obviously cleared up and we can interact, the reward will be going and greeting the other dog. But right now, giving them treats, having them focus on you is probably your best bet. Definitely take them on walks, obviously keeping your distance where it's safe to take them for walks. I think that's huge in different environments. What, you want to go back to daycare? Yeah. Well, if there's no other questions, if you have any questions for anything, you should call your center. Like I said, go to our website. You can find all the different locations and their phone numbers and contact information there. We'll be able to answer any questions you might have about COVID-19 policies. We'll do our best to answer any training questions, things like that. So this has been good. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, we're going to try to do some little training tips here and there. So definitely comment if there are certain topics you want us to cover in the future. Thanks so much.